I also want to welcome this morning the Community AIDS Network. They are here today to help honor us and remember our anniversary. And we have David Green, who will be speaking to us. David, if you'll make your way forward. And we also have Rachel in the back and Francesca. Yes, and So the Community AIDS Network brought the AIDS quilts for us to display today, and they are also one of our gold sponsors for our Venice Pride. So we are so glad to have you with us today.
Good morning. My name is David. I work for CAN Community Health, and I am living with HIV. I've been positive for 40 years.
Wow.
I'm one of the early ones. And I'm thrilled to be here. I tested positive in 1981 at the Salk Institute where they were developing the first test for HIV. I was a caterer, they were my client, and I volunteered to be tested. And it came back positive. Back then, they said, you know, if you're healthy now, it can take 10 years to incubate. So I was not all that concerned because I figured surely within 10 years there'd be a cure. Well, my partner, who I had known for 3 months, also tested positive. And we were told that we most likely did not give it to each other because of the timing of the testing and the results. We went for 10 years, and then Michael got sick. He suffered for quite a while, for a year and a half, and he passed in 93. And in 94, I got my first KS lesion. KS is Kaposi sarcoma. It's an AIDS-related cancer that affects the lining of the blood vessels. So you get these dark patches that can show up anywhere. I decided that I would just continue to work because there was no treatment back then, there was nothing to do. So I just continued my lifestyle. I worked hard, and I went for another year and a half until KS took over my entire body. I was covered with lesions on the outside. My mouth was filled with it. My gums grew down over my teeth. And then they found a lesion in my lung the size of almost a baseball. So back then there was no treatment. The doctor said, you've got 6 months to live. I was living in California. I moved back to Boston to be with my family, and the timing was perfect. There was a new chemotherapy that they were doing a study on for KS. I went into the study. It started to work. Lesions started to fade. I started feeling better. And I thought, you know, this is golden. I'm really lucky now. But after 6 months, I had a breakthrough on that chemo. So they put me on another one, which was a lot stronger. It did work, but there were side effects. And it took 5 years total, and I am totally clean of KS. I'm still living with the HIV. I'm still living with the HIV and doing well. In 1996, the first drug became available, so I went on that. It was a nasty, nasty drug. You had to take it every 8 hours around the clock. You couldn't eat an hour before or 2 hours after. And one of the side effects was kidney stones. And also big fat deposits. You've probably seen people with what they call a buffalo hump. It's a big fat deposit on the back of the neck. That was one of the side effects as well. I went on that medication. I stayed on it for 10 years faithfully, never missed a dose. And within 6 months, my viral load started coming down and my T cells started going up. At that point, I had 7 T cells, where normal is around 1,000. I continued on that med. I took really good care of myself, and in 10 years, I changed to another one that was for convenience only. It was 6 pills twice a day, and I did that for another 10 years, and I became undetectable, and my T cells went up to around 900. So I was considered pretty healthy. I still have an AIDS diagnosis because anybody that has T cells below 200 is considered AIDS, and I will never lose that designation. I don't feel that I have AIDS. I feel I am living with HIV and doing it well. When I moved down here to Northport from northern Vermont, my first concern was finding good health care. And I was set up to go to the Department of Health, and when I was driving, I saw the sign, Comprehensive Care Center, is what we used to be called. Now, the place I got my care in Vermont was a comprehensive care center, so I figured this is great. I went in, I talked to them. They had absolutely nothing to do with the comprehensive care center that I went to in Vermont, but I was thrilled to find them. They had specialists, they had case management, they had anything that I felt that I needed at that point. After meeting my doctor there for the first time, she introduced me to Val, who is a peer navigator. Peer navigators are people living with HIV that are part of your medical and support team. I see every client that comes into the clinic. I talk with them. I see if they're in need of anything, whether it's some kind of service, whether it's just talking, whether it's just screaming. Whatever people need, I'm there for them. So I've been at CAN for a little over a year and a half now, loving my job, feeling better than I felt in years, and I'm here to tell you that living with HIV, you can live a normal life with a normal lifespan. You just have to accept that you're living with this and not let it be who you are, just a part of who you are. So I want to thank you all for coming. I'm glad I was able to speak to you. If anybody has any questions, I'll be in the back. You can talk to me, and I thank you.